Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the library. Let's get on camera. There we go. We are on camera. Lenny's a little off-kiltered this evening. There we go. That's better. All right. And Victor's watching over our shoulders, as usual. How's everyone doing this evening? Hello, Maureen. Hello, James Simpson. Hello, Delilah. Vincent Capisci. Gerard, my buddy, is here. Good to see you. Arlene Morlino is here in the house. Who else am I missing? Emmanuel Spataro, the showstopper. Please don't stop my show. What else is happening here? Anyone else? And Tammy is in the house. Good to see you, Tammy. Todd Father is here, listening in. Excellent. Patty is here. Good to see you. Deborah, good to see you. Thank you, everyone, for stopping in. I don't know if I missed anyone. I hope I didn't. Stiggs, of course, is here. Sweet Tea. How could I miss Sweet Tea? Uncle Edwin, stopping in to say have a great telecast. Thank you, my friend. All right. Well, let's get started, if we can. Well, let me just be like Stiggs and say I'm not starting until I see 15 people in the chat. I only see 14. Come on, we need 15 for me to get started. Oh, his numbers are higher, though, because, it's the way it goes in the social club. But let me light my candles while we do this. Some of these wicks are pretty darn big. Let's see. Here we go. There's one. This one is way too big, and I don't have a scissor to cut it. Well, anyway, we're going to have to go with it. There we go. Well, it'll catch. There we go. So we got 15 people. That's good. Now we can get started. So tonight's edition is on ghost stories from South Dakota. So we shall see if you enjoy them. And one of the things that I'm going to do, which I don't think I've done in the past, is I'm going to stop between the stories and let you react if you can. Let me know what you think, any questions, any thoughts before I move on to the next. I have 5 short stories this evening. And then I have a couple of videos, or 3 videos, I think. Well, 2 videos and a still picture to show you. But anyway, let's get started and see how it goes. All right. South Dakota. Does everybody even know where South Dakota is? South Dakota is one of those states where it's kind of a square state. You don't think about it too often. It's in the middle of the country. Wait a minute, shut this light off. There we go. That's better, right, Lenny? I'm frozen. Oh, I froze for a second there. That's not good. Okay. What are we doing in South Dakota? Well, why not? South Dakota, the Great Plains, really, right? It's the Great Plains. Wide open spaces. And a lot of the history is pioneer history. And that's where some of our stories come from. Obviously, it's hard to avoid that. Deadwood. Everyone hear of Deadwood? Deadwood, there was a TV show, Deadwood, on HBO in the early 2000s, and it was about the city of Deadwood, the town of Deadwood in South Dakota, and how it was basically a rough mining town, and in the Old West, and it's where Wild Bill Hitchcock got killed. So that's the famous area there. Then the claim to fame of Deadwood, and we got a story directly from Deadwood. But let me start off with just the plains themselves. So the plains themselves, wide open, buffalo, bison, etc. Native American Indian tribes, mainly the Sioux, dominant in this area. Well, one legend. Let's start off with this, let's just start off with a legend. It's not necessarily a ghost story, but it's more so a legend. One of the areas in question that the Lewis and Clark expedition came across while they were going across country was an area that came to be known as Spirit Mound. And it was called that because the Sioux thought it was haunted, that it was spiritually connected to the other side, to another world. They feared it, actually, this area. And I'm going to show you what it looked like. This is what Spirit Mound looks like right here. As you can see, it's a mound, right, in the middle of the prairie. Right now, it's a national park, I believe, so you can go and visit it if you wish. But this mound in question, like I said, was feared by the Sioux. And why was it feared by the Sioux? And when I first heard this story, I was thinking it was probably a burial ground of some type, something like that, having to deal with their religion. No, that's not what it is. In fact, actually, what it turns out to be is they have this legend about this mound that it's inhabited by little devilish creatures, little devils, as they call them. And they are described as being 18 inches tall with rather large heads, and that they're armed with bows and arrows that are poison. And if you were to approach this mound, they would kill you. They're very hostile to humans. And they inhabit, like, they live in the ground, much like prairie dogs, I guess, in this big mound. And this is their domain. And if you go near it, you're taking your life into your own hands. And that's what the Sioux told Lewis and Clark and their expedition. So much so, it was so much of a prevailing myth or legend that they wrote it down in their journals. It's a documented uh, a thing that they looked for. They looked for these little devils in this mound, and they didn't come up with anything. They didn't find anything, but it was such a dominant legend that they felt they were going to investigate it while they were there. And the Sioux told tales of hundreds of people dying, hundreds of their tribe members dying when encountering these little 18-inch tall devils that would shoot them with poison arrows. So it's a real creepy little legend out in the middle of the prairie. Not really a ghost legend or spirits, because, well, and what they're not really clear. They were not really clear as to what these creatures were. They called them devils, which insinuates that they're spiritual. They weren't mortals. They weren't things of the earth. So maybe it is kind of a ghost story because these devils would take people's lives. But no one in recent times have seen anything on this mound. I just thought it was an interesting legend that's still out, still echoes there, that the Sioux were so afraid that they wouldn't go anywhere near this. And I think today the tribe still does not go near this mound for this, for it's not officially considered part of the tribal areas, and it's therefore it became a national park. So a little interesting thing: the Spirit Mound is what it's called, and it's inhabited supposedly by these 18-inch tall little devils. That if you go near them, you're taking your life in your hand. So stay away from Spirit Mound in South Dakota. So what do you think? What do you think of that? You think it's true? What do you think that is? Oh, hi, M. Powell. Hello, Kelly. Some folks came in since I started. So, M. Powell, you've been to Deadwood twice in the last 4 years. 10 hours from you. Okay. Casinos. Okay. Have you been to the Spirit Mound? I guess not, or otherwise you would have said it. But So Delilah feels that the Native Americans see spirits, see things that maybe we don't see. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, the fact that they still don't go near this, active tribe members don't go near this is telling to me that it has a real meaning, and that it would be investigated by Lewis and Clark 200 some odd years ago is also pretty interesting to me. Hello, Gianni. Good to see you. Hello, Hemenia. Hemenia, good to see you. Hemenia, thank you for hanging out. Why are you not a moderator? You should be a moderator. Why are you not a moderator? Hold on, everyone. I'm going to stop for a second because I got to take care of something. Where is my own channel here? On my phone. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, Amanda, you're now a moderator. I don't know why I'm having moderator problems lately. Not a good not a good look. I don't like it. All right, you're good now. All right. Hi, Suzanne. Good to see you. Maureen saved the day for me, Gianni, and let you know. All right, let's go on to our next story. All right, so our next story is Spooky Road, which is located in Brandon, South Carolina. Now, when you have a road named Spooky Road, you know something's up, right? Immediately. That tells you something. So let's get rid of the Spirit Mound picture right here. And let's pull up a picture of Spooky Road in Brandon, South Carolina, before I get into the story behind it. All right, here we go. Let's get that on full screen so you can look at it. Now, it's got some trees on it. It's not in the prairie area, which just kind of makes it spooky, right? But as you can see, the trees kind of envelop it, canopy it, which make it spooky in my eyes too. It definitely does. So Spooky Road is what we're talking about here. Now, this road is creepy because beyond its name, and there's reasons why it has its name, but there's several legends that occurred. Now, one was that there were lynching parties that took place along this road by early settlers of cattle rustlers in South Dakota, that the local ranchers would take law into their own hands. We know this was a fact, that it did happen, but there's no documented lynchings that I could find, recorded in history here, but I no doubt believe that there were possible lynchings that took place here. And they say that they happened along this road, and that because of that, that sent the negativity of this road going and snowballed into whole other different things. And one of the things that it snowballed into is that the occult seemed to be attracted to this road and would do ceremonies here. Local devil worshippers would have ceremonies at different spots along this road. In addition, it is said that there have been several suicides along this road where people would take their own lives by hanging themselves from trees. So more in the negative energy of what's going on here that could lead to this road being bad news. When you're driving along this road, should you stop and walk a little bit, you might get the feeling that you're being watched by unseen eyes. You'll look around and see nothing, but you'll get that feeling that there are eyes all over you. Some people who have been stuck on the road at night have said that they would look into the trees and there would be dozens of glowing eyes that would appear at different levels, even. So, some being creatures of in the trees as well as on the ground level. Quite a disturbing sight to see the woods light up with eyes. This is the most interesting fact about this road, or interesting thought about this road, is that it was originally called Seven Bridges Road. Now, there aren't seven bridges on this road, but it is said that there are six bridges, and that if you drive on one direction, you will cross six bridges. If you immediately make a U-turn and go back, you will only cross five bridges. So what happened to that additional bridge? Where did it go? And what happened to the seventh bridge, since it was originally called Seven Bridges Road? So it's really weird, the happenings on this road in Brandon, South Dakota. I'm sorry, South Dakota. There's also a tale of a cemetery, of appearing and vanishing cemetery along the road, along the side of this road. That it was kind of looking like an old pioneer cemetery, meaning just tombstones surrounded by a wooden fence, not with a church or anything like that, which was common for these pioneer cemeteries. Just wooden crosses and wooden tombstones surrounded by a fence. People have said that they will swear that they passed a cemetery on this road, and then when they return, it's not there. So, is this cemetery itself a spiritual residual occurrence, or are people just hallucinating because of the stories that go along with this road? But there's this vanishing cemetery that appears along Spooky Road. All right. So there you have it. There you have that's the story of Spooky Road in Brandon, South Dakota. There were a few instances of apparitions seen walking around, and also apparitions of folks hanging from trees, which could be related to either the lynchings or the life takings that took place, or self-life takings that took place. So quite a disturbing history around this road, and because of that, it is considered one of the most haunted roads in the state of South Dakota, and in fact, in this area of the country, one of the most haunted roads. So if you're in the neighborhood, check out Spook Road, and tell me if you encounter that sixth bridge, and have it disappear on you. I would love to see that, hear that story. So there you go. What are we talking about here? We're talking about basketball? Is that what we're talking about? Brackets, M-Pal? Yeah. Okay. Well, Gianni, I've never had a problem with it. I know they say that, but I've never had a problem with it. I talk about it in just about every show because that's what most of the ghost stories. There's usually a ghost story that's origin comes from an event like that. So I really don't get much. I never got any problems from that, and I know people say they don't say that on YouTube, but who knows? I don't know. Hey, Mustang Mike, good to see you. So there you have it. That is Spooky Road in Brandon, South Dakota. All right, let's go on to number three. Number three story of the evening. Number 3 story is about the spirit of Hooky Jack. Who's Hooky Jack, you might ask? Well, I'm going to show you who Hooky Jack is and why he is called Hooky Jack. All right, let's do this. You got to see Hooky Jack. Hooky, where are you, Hooky? Come on. There we are. Here's Hooky Jack. This is Hooky Jack. And this picture was taken in the late 1800s. Now, Hooky Jack was born in 1849 in, his real name is John Leary. But we're going to get to why he's called Hooky Jack. He was born in Newburgh, New York. He left home at the age of 16 and headed west to find his fortune. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be much of a fortune, but he ended up working odd jobs and eventually settling in Rapid City, South Dakota, where he was working in a mine and did that for several years, got married, had kids, etc. And basically was a miner until in around 1891, there was a massive explosion in the mine, which he got caught involved in. In fact, many people perished and because of this explosion, but he fortunately survived. However, he lost both of his hands and one of his eyes. And because of that, he earns the moniker of Hooky Jack because they replaced his hands with 2 hooks. So he has 2 hooks and 1 eye. A creepy person, just from that alone, is going to put you off a bit there. Hello, Lord Kiss Freak. Good to see you. Crumel, good to see you, my friend. So Hooky Jack is not a bad guy, though. He has 2 hooks and 1 eye. And the town in which he lives in, which is Rapid City, South Dakota, has a liking to him and decides we're going to give him a job. We're going to give him a job as a city marshal. And even though he has 2 hooks, we're going to keep him as a marshal. And he begins to be the night marshal. So he patrols the streets at night, and he does this for over 30 years until in the year 1926, he mysteriously is killed. He's hit by a hit-and-run driver, and the culprit is never caught. And unfortunately, there ends the life of Spooky Jack, which will eventually turn into the spirit of Hooky Jack. Now, he used to live in a tavern. He used to live and work in a tavern. When he was not being the patrolman at night, he used to live in this tavern and work it. Well, it seems that his spirit has not left that tavern, and that's where all the activity occurs. And it used to be called Hooky Jack's Tavern. It has since been called Sports Rock Tavern. But here are some of the things that happen particularly on the 3rd floor, but throughout the entire building. And I have a picture. I'm going to show you a picture of what the place looks like. So let's put Hooky away. And let's show you what the tavern looks like that his spirit haunts. Here we go. So this was Hooky Jack's Tavern and is now Sports Rock Tavern. First floor is the bar and restaurant. And upstairs are rooms where people could stay, etc. And it's said that he used to live in the upstairs and work in the downstairs. So his spirit has not left. His spirit is still hanging out here. And people will say that they will hear voices and rattling noises and eerie sounds, strange lights and orbs tables and chairs will be moving about. What else do they see? They see billiard balls. Downstairs, there is a billiard table, and they will say the billiard balls will move around by themselves. Some bartenders even claim that they've seen Hooky Jack himself walking up to the bar ready to order a bourbon, sits down at the end, and when the bartender goes over to serve him, he vanishes before their very eyes. So people will hear strange voices, etc., in the bar, whispering, such like that. And some will say even outside of the tavern at night, they will see Hooky walking along, doing his nightly walks as a night watchman, watching over the town. Not a bad ghost, not a scary ghost, not a ghost that you should be running away from, that you have to fear of, but just a normal, run of the mill type of guy with two hooks. So that alone makes him a little bit more intimidating than your normal person. But you might see him hanging around Hooky Jack's bar or the Sports Rock Tavern. After all these years, even though mysteriously losing his life in 1926 to a hit and run driver while he was walking his beat at night, maybe that's why his spirit's around. Who knows? Maybe he's still looking to find the culprit that hit him and got away. But he seems to be active and well here. I was going to say alive and well. He's not alive, but he's pretty active and continues to be to this day. So interesting. Empow says in the early 90s, Hooky Jack was honored as one of the fallen officers at the state capitol. Yes, he was. He was he was a fallen officer, right? Because he was killed on duty. He was killed when he was patrolling the city at night. So it's interesting little story, Hooky Jack. And like I said, not a scary ghost, just a friendly guy that wants to patrol, wants to still protect and serve like his brothers in blue. All right, so there you have it. That was Hooky Jack. Now, let's go on to our fourth story. Our fourth story is about the Orpheum Theater in Sioux Falls. Now, what would a story be? What would a ghost story be without a haunted theater? You got to have a haunted theater. Hello, Ben. Good to see you. You know what, James? I don't know. Well, maybe that's why he vanishes, because he can't pick up the drink when they come in ready to serve him. So let's talk about the Orpheum Theater. Let me show you a picture of it, if I may. Where is it? Where's the Orpheum Theater? Oh, la, 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 la. Why does this happen? Where did my Orpheum Theater go? I knew I had this picture ready, and it's not where I want it to be. Hold on. We're going to remedy this real quick. Here we go. All right. Let's get it up here so you can see what I'm talking about. Hey, See No Evil. Good to see you. Here is the Orpheum Theater in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Now, the history of this little theater is interesting. It was built in the 1890s, and it was originally a vaudeville theater. We're all familiar with what vaudeville was all about: live jokes and dancing and stuff like that, entertainment, live entertainment, little shorts, comedy, etc. Big in the 1890s, and then in the turn of the 20th century, big at that time before movies came along. And then in the 1920s, when movies hit, silent movies hit, it becomes a movie theater. And then in the 1950s, it's converted to be a community playhouse where plays are put on routinely. So quite a little interesting history there. And it's said that the Orpheum Theater has its own little ghost. Now, this ghost has been named Larry. And I don't know why. I couldn't find out where he got the name Larry. Maybe, I don't know, maybe someone just decided to name him that. But that's what they call him. They call him Larry. And the first appearance of Larry took place in 1959, at least the first noted appearance of him. In 1959, there was an actor by the name of Ray who was in the theater practicing his lines, rehearsing for an upcoming play. He was alone at the time, and he was reading his lines on stage. And at one point in the script, it called for him to look up at the balcony. Now, the balcony, it has a balcony in it, much like many of these old theaters. So Ray looks up at the balcony, as he's supposed to do in his lines, in his script. And what he sees is a glowing light up there that turns into an apparition of a man. And the man starts waving to him, waving like this, waving as if he's trying to get his attention. Well, Ray is a little taken aback by this, and in fact throws his script in the air, runs down, runs out, shuts the door and locks it, and refuses to come back until other people are in the building. Now, that is the theory behind this, is that particular incident PO'd Larry. He was not happy. The ghost was not happy. For some reason, he wanted to make a connection with Ray. He wanted to talk to him, I guess, or interact with him. He was waving to him. He wanted him and needed him for something. And because Ray rebuffed him, Larry was not too happy. And so the next time there was a group rehearsal of the play in there, he mysteriously, a sandbag came down from the ceiling and hit Ray on the back of the head and knocked him out unconscious. And no one knows how it happened. No one was up in the rafters. No one knows anything about why it happened. And it's attributed to Larry. And in fact, Larry does this again with the sandbag. Now, this time he does it on the opening night of the play. And again, Ray gets hit with the sandbag and gets knocked out. So Ray's got 2 concussions for not listening to the ghost when he was waving for him to come up to the balcony. So that's your first interaction of Larry. The second interaction of Larry takes place in 1972. Now, in 1972, there was a director there who had just gone through a rehearsal, and his name was Jack. He had just gone through the rehearsal, and he was cleaning up by himself, sweeping up along the stage, just tidying things up before the next showing occurred. And at that particular time, he's sweeping up the stage, and he feels an inexplainable cold rush that comes over him, and a chill takes over his body. And he turns and looks behind him on the stage, and there, sitting on a table, is a picture that was not there before. It's a picture that was taken in the late 1800s, and it's of a man in his 30s wearing clothes of the period, handlebar mustache, wearing clothes, a suit, black and white, obviously. That's all they had. But no explanation other than that. It's an original photo that appears there. Well, Jack takes the photo and tries to get it analyzed, and in fact takes it, puts it on his desk, wants to get it looked at, what have you. And when he returns, the photo is gone. It's completely vanished. It doesn't exist anymore. Totally gone. And they say that this was Larry again. Larry trying to make, and that might have been a picture of Larry himself at the time. Now, remember, I said the theater was built in the 1890s. This picture was someone in the 1890s garb that was doing it, that was taking a picture, one of those pictures you would take back in the day. So who knows? Patrick Ortega, good to see you, my friend. Now, the theories around Larry are, there's three different theories. One is that he could have been a construction worker when the theater was being built who lost his life in the construction of the place, and therefore he's still hanging around there. A second theory is that he was a stagehand that may have been killed by accident during the vaudeville era of this era. They're keeping in mind with the time period of the clothing that the picture had. And then the final theory is that because he seems to be appearing in the balcony a lot, that this is because he may have had an affair with a married woman up in the balcony secretly, and was discovered by the husband and met his end there at the husband's hands. So those are your three theories around Larry, where he comes from, why he's there. But he seems to still be there. And the prevailing thought is that he's going to remain there until someone has an interactive conversation with him, because he's looking for something, whatever it might be. He's reaching out to the living and wants to make contact, but just can't. No one seems to be taking him up. So that's the Orpheum Theater in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where we have Larry, the resident spirit, who's looking to make contact with somebody. All right. Things appear and disappear at will. It ain't a ghost story show for nothing. That's right, Kermel. You're absolutely right. They do. They do disappear and appear at will. Exactly. All right. So there you have it. There's your spirit around the theater. And like I said, it was like a good ghost, a good haunted theater is always a good yarn to spin. All right. All right, that was number 4. All right, let's go on to number 5. Now we're back. We're finally where I said we were at the beginning. We're going to Deadwood. And I had this as the headline of tonight's episode, The Ghost Sheriff of Deadwood. Now, like I said, if you know anything about Deadwood, you'll know that it was a pioneer town, so to speak, a boom town, a gambling town, when this area was being opened up to settlement and a gold rush town type of thing. It's famous for Wild Bill Hitchcock and him meeting his end there. And the HBO series Deadwood is a good, it's a drama, but it's a good realistic account of what went on in that town when it was first created. Well, when that town, after Wild Bill Hitchcock got murdered and shot in the back, the town folks there decided that they needed a sheriff, and they chose an individual by the name of Seth Bullock to be the first Deadwood sheriff. Now, let me show you what Seth looked like, if I may. Here's our friend Seth Bullock. Huge mustache, right? Like a cowboy should have. And he was one of the first settlers of the town. He started there as a hardware store. He was tools and hardware selling to them, people looking to go mine, et cetera, people that are looking to build houses and stuff. He provides supplies and mine and equipment, et cetera, et cetera. And he's chosen as one of the first settlers there to be the first sheriff. And he does so, and he does the sheriff, and he's the sheriff for many years. In fact, he dies in 1919. Um, at that time, he was no longer the sheriff, but he was the owner of Bullock's Hotel, which he built in the town himself. And I'm going to show you a picture of what Bullock's Hotel is, because that's where his ghost is said to be. Hello, Marta. Marta Fowler, good to see you. So good old Seth is our resident spirit that we're going to talk about. Now, let me show you what his hotel looks like. Oops, we don't want to do that. Hold on. Let's get our picture of his hotel. Now, this is what his Bullock's Hotel looks like. It's still operational today. It's a nice big hotel. It could seat up to 100 people for dinner in the restaurant section downstairs. Hello, Gerard Succelli. Good to see you. So he built this hotel himself. Him and a partner built this hotel, and it's quite impressive. And it's survived all these years. And it's said that he still likes it so much that he still hangs out there. Now, where do we see him in this hotel? Well, a lot of people see him on the second and third floor in the hallway. That seems to be an area that he seems to materialize. And he is usually in cowboy gear, in his martial gear, with his black hat, his long coat. People have seen the badge on him and that big signature mustache, like in that picture. So unmistakably him. If you see him, his spirit, you should be able to see and recognize who he is. Now, the interesting thing, because he was a proprietor of this hotel, it seems that he's still working it at times. And what I mean by that is that many of the accounts of extra paranormal activity, of extrasensory type of activity, occur when the people that work there, the staff, are being idle. They're being lazy. They're not doing their job. And it seems that he gets quite perturbed at this, as if he was still running the hotel himself. And what will happen is dishes will rattle, glasses will rattle, dishes may fly off shelves. Appliances will go on and off. Lights will go on and off. Showers will turn on and off. Now, this is all triggered because people are not doing their jobs. So get in line. He's still keeping people in line. He was the marshal for so many years, and he's still keeping people in line. So, what other things does he do? Well, one of the things he was famous for when he was the town sheriff or marshal was that whenever he knew everybody in town, knew everyone closely in town. What he would do is when they were doing something wrong and he was about to approach them, he would yell out their names as if to shame them in public. This was something that he would normally do because, remember, he knew most of these people. Most of them were there. And if it was somebody, he would yell out your name as a public scolding is what he would do. And that's exactly what his spirit does. The names of the workers will be yelled out of nowhere when they're not doing their jobs. They will hear a strange voice yelling out their name. And that is the wake-up call to get going, do your job, get to it. Sometimes you will get tapped on the shoulder. That might be him checking things out, tapping you on, seeing what you're doing there. And he was also famous for whistling a lot, and people will hear the whistling all about the hotel and around the street area at night, as if he was walking a beat, whistling as he went along. Also on the floors, people will take pictures on the second and third floors, and there will be stuff showing up on those pictures. And I couldn't find any online, so I don't know if I could find any, I would have shown them to you. But that's what they say. They say people take pictures up there, and things show up on the weird things show up on those just generic pictures when they're looked at. So Seth Bullock is still patrolling this area and his hotel, keeping people in line, especially those that are working and dogging and not doing their job. So once a sheriff, once a marshal and tavern owner, always a marshal and tavern owner, because he's still on the job to this day. All right, so there you have it. There you have the final story of the night, which is the ghost sheriff or ghost marshal of Deadwood, Seth Bullock. I don't know about that, Cromell. I'm not even going to repeat that one. All right, let's get rid of this. All right, stop this. All right, here we go. All right. So what'd you think of those? They were cute little stories, 5 of them. Give you some idea of the ghostly activity happening in South Dakota. Shut these down over here. All right, now let's look at some pictures. Let's look at some videos, and you tell me what you think. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, MPAL. All right, let's look at this. Okay, I want to start off with a picture. Now, this picture is said to have been taken in a cemetery and a ghost tour on Halloween in 2013, I think it said. Now, the fact that it's taken on a ghost tour, of a cemetery makes me suspect to begin with, because, like I always say, these people have a business. They need to produce ghosts. So that's always there, right? So that always makes this suspect to me. But that notwithstanding, let's look at it and let's see what we think. All right. Okay. Now, I'm going to put this on full screen. It's a still, but it's a video of a still. So let me play it for you. These are 3 sisters that went on a ghost tour and stopped to take a picture at the end in the cemetery. Now, look to the right. Let's see. I'll play it for you. I mean, there's not over here. Look at this right here. See this? Hello, Seymour. Good to see you. So I don't know. What do you think about this shadow person right here, walking to the side here in front of the tombstones? Yeah, right here. See, you can see the head. Here are the feet. There's 2 feet, legs. Looks like it's wearing a coat. May even be wearing a hat up here. I don't know. Now, this could be a hoax, like I said, because, it's a ghost tour. So it could be a hoax. I don't know. It's kind of interesting that, the front leg is kind of transparent. You could see some of the tombstone behind it. So it's translucent. The foot over here is translucent. But in other areas, it's really darkening everything out. It's so dark and so dense that it's darkening out everything behind it. So I don't know. So I don't know. I'll leave this up to you. I don't know. Yeah, the three people in the picture or survive the Grim Reaper to the night. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's kind of cool, it is kind of cool, but it also, I guess, could be done pretty. It's probably easy to get it done with a little photoshopping, I guess. So I don't know. That's a government shadow figure. Figure. You know, where's Osada? Osada, is this a government? Where's Osada? Are you lurking in the shadows? I want to know if this is a government agent. Arlene says the ghost did his job and is going home. I'm done. Yep, I'm done. Going home. All right, so there you go. You know, there you go. You can still see it from that angle too. The black figure is pretty distinct. Who knows, Lenny? What do you think, Lenny? Is that one of your relatives? I don't know. Who knows? But it's interesting. So there you have it. There you have that one. Let's go. Now let's go on to a video. I got two videos for you. Let's go and see what they have to. What you think of these? All right. I thought I have two. Yeah, I think I have two. Okay. All right. This first one is in a museum. It's a security camera in a museum after hours, and it captures on it a dark shadow figure walking about. The story goes that there's no one at night in the museum. There's no night watchman. There's nothing. It's closed down. It's locked up. This is just the security footage in the main lobby area or the main room of this museum. So let's see what you think of this. All right. Alrighty then. Here we go. All right. Now, look at this doorway over here. Watch what happens over here as I play the clip. Ignore the words. The words, that's just the translator, this transcriber of the video that occurred in. So watch it. See, look at that. Look what's going on over here. It's going to show you it from several angles. I mean, it'll show you it several close up. Here's a closer up version. This gives me a chill when I see this. This kind of gives me a chill because it's transparent. It disappears. It kind of evaporates. There, it's like now it's kind of bending down. It just gives me a chill watching it. It's really creepy. Yeah, Patty, it does. It kind of scares me. This one. It's kind of creepy how it's moving. It's like zooming in and then zooming back, and it kind of evaporates or like disappears a little bit. So that's just the end of the clip there. I don't know. I don't even know what that is, but let me see. Let's see here. Just so everybody, make sure everybody sees it. Delilah says it's freaky. Patty says it looks scary. Senile Evil says, interesting. I'm a ghost. Tonight's logo. I'm a ghost. Oh, sorry, Impal. I don't mean to. I don't mean to. Don't mean to make you up. Let's remember, this is a museum. So this is not anybody's home. This is in a museum. So if you're not going to take a nap in a museum, you're okay. All right. Well, anyway, that one I'm going to say is I can't debunk that one. That one is could be the genuine article, and it's very creepy. Ben says, call up Scooby-Doo. Yes, Scooby-Doo and the gang. Tammy says, looks like he's holding a lantern. Ah, interesting. Yeah, could be, yeah. What I was thinking about the way that shadow moves is that it was kind of going to the desk area to like grab something or drop something off. That's what it kind of gave me the impression of. But yeah, it could be a lantern. Right? Yeah. Yeah, there's like some type of, I see what you mean. There's some type of like, yeah, yeah. Gliding in and out the bookshelves. Yeah. Still, and Jimenez says still working in the afterlife. Yeah, I mean we've got some heavy working ghosts, heavy duty working ghosts tonight in our stories too. They're still working, doing their jobs. They're not lazy. All right, let's get rid of this. All right. Okay, and now this is the last one. This one, I don't know where this is. This is in some type of I don't know, a house. Very modern looking house, like very contemporary, I guess, looking house. But again, you're going to see a spirit to the right. Hold on, here we go. You see a woman here. She's not a spirit. She's just a woman. She's going to walk down the stairs and watch when as she walks down the stairs. Look over in this entranceway over here to see what happens. All right, there we go. She goes down. And watch what happens over here. I mean, I'm sorry, maybe it's over here. It's over here. It's on this side. And then look at this. Look what happens over here. I mean, it looks like a gown. It looks like, but, and then the chair moves. So here it comes. And it looks like the lower half of a woman in a dress. Like here's the arm, right? No head with a white dress walking in and then walking out. Let's play that again. Okay, let's go down here. Okay. Let's get it when it comes in. Okay, here we go. Comes in. It's a transparent type of figure, right? And I don't see the head though. I don't see a head. I see like a woman's bare skin and a white dress. Like there's the arm swinging. And then she goes back inside. Now, hold on here. Let's look at this again for a second. I think I caught something that, first of all, I don't like this chair moving thing. I don't like that at all because anybody can make a chair move, and it's the cheapest type of ghost trick around. Making chairs move, making things, like it's just lame. I don't like it. So that makes it kind of suspect. Now, let's watch the spirit when it goes back. So it comes out, right? Comes out. Now watch when it goes back. Let me see something here. I wanted to see if there was an error in. Let me see. No, it's going back into the room. It's definitely going back into the room. Comes out, walks here, looks, then turns around, goes back. It could be, yeah, it could be it could be like taking another film and putting it in here. I think you could do that pretty easily. I don't know. The chair moving, like I said, I don't know. Um, yeah, for a second there, I thought that there was an error and that this was a Photoshop and there was an error and that you could see her body on the outside of the wall. But when you put it in slow motion, you can't. It goes in. She's going completely into the walkway here. Like she's not on the outside of the wall or anything like that. So I can't debunk it from that angle. I don't know. So Crewmel says this one looks real. A couple of oh my gods from Suzanne and Marta. So I don't know. I don't know. Could be. Could be. Anyway, there you got it. There you have it. There you have it. There's our ghostly woman there in the dress. Looks like a wedding dress or something. I don't know. All right. So there you have it. Let's get out of here. All right. So I thought they were good. I thought definitely the two. I mean, definitely these three videos I stumbled on, or two videos and a still. They weren't bad. They were better than some that I've had seen recently. You know, at least they could be real. So I was pretty happy with them as opposed to the usual stuff. But you know, Patty says I gotta say by all, but want to say thanks to all the work. Oh yeah, thank you, Patty. I'm happy to do it. Appreciate. I'm glad. I'm glad it's appreciated. Let's put it that way. I am glad because that makes it more enjoyable to me. If you guys are enjoying it, that makes it enjoyable to me. And Lenny and Victor. So yeah, so that's what's going on tonight, guys. So that was the 5 stories from South Dakota. Spooky Road, the Ghost Sheriff of Deadwood, Hooky Jack, Orpheum Theater, and what else? And that's it, right? Oh, and the Little Devils of the Spirit Mount. Those were your 5 ghost stories. And then we had some fun with our little videos here to see if we can debunk them. So yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, if anyone wants to drop their channels, please do it. I see Crumel dropped Jimenez channel. That's great. Thank you. Anyone else has a channel they want to drop? Feel free to do that. Always look into our little group of people here, Dean Do and Stiggs. If you're not in there, Sliminy didn't come around tonight, but I'm sure he's going on at 10. So if you want to hang out, check him out. And I think that's about it for tonight. I want to say thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us here in the library as we had some fun with some stories. And I will see you all next week. And until then, I say stay scared. Thank you for watching. We'll blow out our candles. And as always, I say, God bless. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a great evening and a great weekend.